Good evening, you're watching Liberty News Bulletin with me, Angelina. Our top story tonight: Russia has launched its largest attack of the month on Ukraine, striking energy infrastructure and cities, just hours after President Volodymyr Zelenskyy met with President Donald Trump and European leaders in Washington. Ukraine's Air Force confirmed that Russia unleashed 270 drones and 10 missiles overnight Monday into Tuesday. At least 40 drones and 4 missiles hit their targets, with explosions and falling debris reported in more than a dozen locations. The central Poltava region was hit particularly hard, where fires broke out at oil refining and gas facilities. Ukraine's energy ministry called the strikes part of a campaign of systematic terrorist attacks against the country's energy system, accusing Moscow of violating international humanitarian law. This was the biggest assault since July 31, when Russia fired 309 drones in a single night. On the Russian side, officials said they intercepted 23 Ukrainian drones, most of them over the Volgograd region. Debris caused fires at an oil refinery and even on the roof of a hospital, but no casualties were reported. The barrage came as high-stakes diplomacy unfolded in Washington. President Zelenskyy joined President Trump and several European leaders for talks on a possible roadmap to end the war. Trump struck a more conciliatory tone compared to his past meetings with the Ukrainian president. He stressed the need for direct negotiations between Zelenskyy and Russian President Vladimir Putin, followed by a trilateral summit involving himself. Zelenskyy said Ukraine is ready for such talks, calling the meeting in Washington a significant step toward peace. But obstacles remain. Just days earlier in Alaska, President Trump met with Vladimir Putin. According to sources, the Russian leader demanded that Ukraine cede the entire Donetsk region in exchange for an end to hostilities, a condition Kiev and its allies reject. Trump, meanwhile, repeated that Ukraine would not be allowed to join NATO and that Crimea would remain under Russian control. He added that while a ceasefire could save lives immediately, it might not be strategically acceptable to either side. Despite this, Trump later announced he had spoken by phone with Putin and began preparations for a possible face-to-face meeting with Zelenskyy. European leaders welcomed the Washington talks but voiced skepticism. French President Emmanuel Macron said he doubted Putin's willingness for genuine peace, arguing that Russia still seeks to seize more territory. Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz compared Russia's demand for Ukraine to give up Donbass to asking the U.S. to surrender Florida, saying such concessions are simply unacceptable. Tonight's developments highlight the fragile balance between war and diplomacy. On one hand, Ukraine faces the heaviest strikes in weeks. On the other, world leaders are struggling to chart a path toward negotiations that could finally end a conflict now stretching into its third year. For now, Ukraine's skies remain under attack, and its future, caught between battlefield realities and diplomatic bargaining tables. That's all for this edition of Liberty News Bulletin. I'm Angelina, stay tuned for more updates right here.